Committee will come to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Senator Howell. Here. Senator Martin.
Here.
Senator Deeds.
Here.
Senator Puckett. Senator Edwards. Senator McKeechan.
Here.
Senator Peterson.
Here.
Senator Smith. Senator Northam. Senator Vogel. Senator McWaters.
Here.
Senator Carrico. Senator Reeves. Senator Garrett. Senator Obenshain.
Here.
And quorum, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. This is the first meeting of the P&E committee meeting, and we've got staff and new pages here. And what the pages, I guess we've got 3 pages here, right? 3 or 4. One more is coming. All right. Well, let me introduce the staff. We have Legislative Services again, David Cotter, Jack Austin, and Mary Beth Turner is our committee clerk, and Jocelyn Lance, also committee clerk. So thank you, and I'll wait for our page to come and introduce the 4 of you. And pursuant to Rule 20K, I've established certain subcommittees to consider certain legislation. Subcommittees that have been appointed are as follows. Campaigns and elections are going to meet Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on 3rd floor west. Senator Vogel is chair. The committee will also include Senators Howell, Martin, Edwards, Peterson, Carrico, and Garrett. Also, we have a constitutional amendments, reapportionment, and referenda subcommittee that's been appointed. It will meet Tuesdays at 9:15 a.m. 3rd floor west. Ortman call the chair. Senator McWaters is the chair of that subcommittee. It will also include Senators Martin, Deeds, Puckett, McKeechan, Smith, and Reeves. And finally, the Certificate Oath and Confirmation Review Committee, which will meet 15 minutes prior to meeting of the committee on call. Senator Carrico is going to chair. It will also include Senator Howell and Senator Martin, and they have already been hard at work. Now, just in time, we have our 4 pages, and when I call your name, if you would, please stand up. Have Ellie Dable of Bluemont. Ellie attends Blue Ridge Middle School. Welcome, Ellie. Mackenzie Morgan. Mackenzie is from Virginia Beach. Where do you go to school, Mackenzie?
Virginia Beach.
All right. Hunter Ferris. Hunter is from Rustburg. And where do you go to school, Hunter? And Annabeth Tanner of King George. Annabeth, where do you go to school? All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your being here, and thank you for working with us. What I'm going to do first is
3:15 or 3:45.
take up the recommendations of the Certificate Oath and Confirmation Review. Take the report of the Certificate Oath and Confirmation Review Committee. Senator Carrico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Subcommittee on Certificate Oath and Confirmation Review met prior to this meeting. SJ 322 and SJ 323 were taken up in a block, and it was a recommendation of the committee unanimously to report those 2, and I would so move.
Well, before we delve any further into these, the 3 appointments bills are going to be before us that are on the docket today. I know that there's particular attention that has been dedicated to Senate Bill 324, which includes some college board appointments. And just procedurally, let me say that what I plan to do is take up each of these bills, and to the extent that there is comment for or opposed to the bills, or comment upon the contents of the bills, I would invite, and I think 324 is going to be the one that is in all likelihood going to generate a little bit of public interest, and we'll invite 15 minutes of pro and 15 minutes of con comment on that bill. And so first, the recommendation of the subcommittee was to recommend reporting 322. That being a motion is before us. Any discussion? 322. Any comment for or against? All right, 322 is before the committee. Hearing no questions, so all in favor of reporting 322 signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? 322 is reported.
SJ 323 was also unanimously supported to report, and I would so move.
There's been a motion by the subcommittee to recommend reporting 323. Any questions by members of the committee? Any comments?
Chair, I think it'd be a good idea if everybody got a chance to look.
It's on your system.
System's moving a little slow.
And apparently, all of us are just noticing this first year that we're not distributing bill books. And it is not a decision of this committee.
65 and I'm in. I'm like,
All right, are we good on, everybody have 323? Any questions about 323?
Mine on the computer.
Any comments by the members of the gallery on 323?
Mr. Chair, could I just ask a question?
You may.
Mine's 152 through 154 of 323. Is that person related to a member of this body?
Why don't we have the Madam Secretary, so administration appointments bill, that would be the appointment to the Crime Commission of Robin Deal McDougall.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All right. Comments? All in favor of reporting Senate Joint Resolution 323, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? That's reported. Next.
Mr. Chairman, the next was SJ 324. It was the recommendation of the subcommittee to report with 2 confirming and 1 abstention, and I would so move.
Motion's been made to report.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Howell.
I have an amendment in the nature of a substitute for SJ 324. By way of explanation, it contains all of the appointments of the governor except the one on lines 267 and 268, Helen Dragas.
I'll second.
267 through 8.
And 268. But other than that, it's identical to the original. And if I might speak to it, Mr. Chairman?
Senator Howell.
Thank you. For 22 years now, I've been confirming governor's appointments. And without exception, through 6 different governors, I have voted for every single nomination. I think, except in extraordinary circumstances, we should give the governor the respect to make the appointments he or she would like. And I have lived up to that. But over those 22 years, I've never received an email or a letter or a phone call even regarding any of the nominations by the governor. This year, something extraordinary happened. In the case of Helen Dragas, I received, so far, as of today, 204 emails from faculty, from parents, from students, from alumni, from people who care about the University of Virginia. And each and every one of the 204 was opposed to her confirmation. In addition, as I go to church, as I go to the Giant, as people call me on the phone, as they come by my office, they have voiced their concern about her. And I would say about 30 people have gone to that extent to directly talk to me. And there were 2 who supported her, but the other 28 did not. This is a most unusual situation. And what were they saying in these emails and as they talked to me? Why were people saying they don't want Ms. Dragas reappointed? The main reason has been the lack of transparency with what happened early last summer in the episode at UVA. They felt it was not open government. They felt there was no warning to the president that she was blindsided. They felt that there was no public discussion. There was no opportunity to hear from stakeholders. And they said there was no vote. There was no public vote. Another reason I've heard over and over was that damage has been done to the reputation of the university. You certainly saw that in the national coverage that descended on UVA. And more recently, they've received a warning from the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. Also, several alumni have pointed out damage to the ability of the university to raise funds. And several of them have said, as long as Ms. Dragas is on the board, they have no intention of contributing to the university. And one that really struck home with me was the disregard of the honor code of the UVA that was displayed by Ms. Dragas when she tried to influence a student to come forward and use ghost-written materials. Everybody, including me, wants this situation to go away. It doesn't do the university any good for things to be rehashed. But unfortunately, it's unavoidable. We have to take a decision as to whether or not we're going to confirm Ms. Dragas. We can't avoid that. And we have that responsibility. The best that could have happened, I believe, would be if Ms. Dragas had removed her name from consideration, but she's chosen not to do that. So after careful consideration, I've chosen to remove her name from the joint resolution. I hope you'll support this amendment in the nature of a substitute.
All right, what's before us is an amendment in the nature of a substitute. Why don't we, if there are questions of Senator Howell, why don't we take that? But for the time being, unless there are, let's invite public comment upon the proposed substitute and take our 15 minutes for and 15 minutes against right now, set up very nicely. So those in favor of Senator Howell's substitute, if you would, if anybody wishes to speak, if you would approach the podium and address the motion. All right. Any public comment in opposition?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Janet Kelly, the Secretary of the Commonwealth. And in that capacity, as you know, I'm responsible for making recommendations to the governor on board and commission appointments, including board of visitors, as well as seeing those appointments through the legislative confirmation process. So thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. On behalf of the governor, I'd also like to thank you for supporting all of the approximately 1,500 governor's appointments for 2010 and 11. And I'm here to ask for confirmation for all of the governor's 2012 board appointees. Because one appointee, Helen Dragas, and motion is before us to remove for the full resolution, I'll narrow my remarks to her specific appointment. First,
Yes.
okay. First, let me say the governor is dedicated to maintaining an outstanding system of higher education in Virginia. As you know from your unanimous support of the landmark Top Jobs 21 legislation of 2011 and the major new investments he recommended in recent budgets. As a father of two sons currently at the University of Virginia, the governor is personally invested in ensuring that the university remains one of the top universities in the world. Secondly, I'd like to recognize and thank especially the students who are here today. Although we may disagree on our approaches, I always enjoy seeing young people involved in the legislative process and appreciate your presence. I'll focus on 3 key reasons why we ask that Ms. Dragas be reappointed. The primary reason is that the university is healing, solving problems, maintaining excellence, and it's our belief that we should move forward. Just a few weeks ago, the prestigious U.S. News and World Report rankings named UVA as the second best public university in the nation. It ranked UVA 24th out of thousands of colleges and universities judged for the best overall university in the nation. In fact, Dr. Sullivan specifically said, as recently as last Friday, "I have full faith and confidence that the board and our executive leadership are making the necessary strides, not only to restore our good standing with our creditors, but also to strengthen our institution. These efforts are not simply a reaction to the events of this summer or the actions of our accrediting agency, and it will not be productive for us to continue to rehash the events of June." He's also encouraged the university community and all interested parties to move forward and focus their energies on making the university a better place. We've heard from many other people who care about the university who said that a replay of the events of last summer are also not in the best interest of the university. Even on the toughest days last spring, the governor strongly believed that the university had a historic opportunity to openly and candidly discuss the critical issues that had been raised, and thus to grow and improve. The best way to ensure that the disagreements were dealt with was to have frank discussions about the changes that were needed by both the board and the administration and ensure that those changes got made. After 6 months of good work, there's been much good progress. The progress is a testimony to the president, Ms. Dragas, the board members, and the university community to show that reconciliation is possible even under very trying circumstances. They're working well together to make the university even stronger. Helen Dragas is a strong and competent business leader. As a volunteer board member, she's donated an immense amount of time and energy to the university she attended and loves. Secondly, the governor has seen, and others with internal working knowledge of the board have corroborated that the chief concerns surrounding the events of last year have been resolved or are being resolved by the board and the administration cooperatively. The governor was very clear that he did not believe the process for the president's removal was transparent enough, following board administrative procedures, or was done with enough communication. As you recall, he told the board to resolve the situation or resign. The current board, which includes 6 new members of great stature, have forged a good relationship with each other and the university administration. The chief criticisms surrounding the process have been addressed. The president recently outlined several changes enacted since last summer. The university is developing a detailed strategic plan. It's created a special committee on strategic planning co-chaired by 2 of the new 2012 McDonnell appointees that you will consider confirming today, Frank Atkinson and Dr. Lynn Rose. There are 7 working groups composed of a wide range of groups who care about the university, from alumni to students to parents to faculty and staff. Faculty have also been added as consultants to key board committees, and the bylaws have been changed to allow for more direct involvement by faculty in board deliberations. On the issue of board governance was promptly addressed, and the board bylaws have been altered to provide greater clarity on procedures for electing and removing presidents, and to establish guidelines for evaluating the president's performance. The governor also appointed 2 well-respected university leaders, Leonard Sanders and Bill Goodwin, as special advisors to the board. Thirdly, the governor believes that these volunteer members of board of visitors must have the independence to guide and direct Virginia's colleges and universities. Not all the decisions these boards make will be popular. There are good mechanisms for expressing discontent, and there are mechanisms for correction which have occurred here. Members of the Board of Visitors are uniquely positioned with sufficient information needed to make important strategic and personnel decisions, and they must be trusted to do so. Finally, the governor has met with Dr. Sullivan and Director Dragas together and is convinced that they have and will continue to work well together in the best interest of the university. Director Dragas enjoys bipartisan support, having been appointed initially by Governor Kane and supported for reappointment today by Senator Mark Warner. In closing, the University of Virginia is a very special place. It will always be so. The division that existed just a few short months ago and seemed insurmountable at the time has now led to important changes by the board and the president that have made the university stronger. Thank you for your time, and again, I ask you to confirm all of the governor's appointments. Mr. Chairman, in addition to my comments, I have 3 folks, one of whom could not be here today because of a medical emergency, but we have her statement. She's a current member of the board, just appointed last June, Victoria Harper. We can get those, her testimony to you all. And then we have 2 other guests with us, Joan Dimple and Taylor McCormick, who would like to speak for the remaining time that we have left. And I wasn't watching the clock, I hope you were. And then we have Secretary of Education Laura Fornash here as well to help answer any questions along with myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Dale McCormick, the Chief Executive Officer of For Kids, a nonprofit organization working to end family homelessness in Southampton Roads. I am incidentally also a graduate of the University of Virginia, a graduate of the School of Architecture. I'm pleased to be here today to share my knowledge and experience of Helen Dragas. Most people are familiar with Helen's tremendous business acumen and leadership. But since 2007, I have known her through the Dragas Families Initiative, an unprecedented philanthropic and strategic investment in the safety net for homeless families in Southampton Roads. Helen, through her family foundation and company, gave $1.5 million to the cities of Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and Chesapeake to address family homelessness and the educational needs of homeless children. But not only did Helen give the $1.5 million, but Helen, because she is Helen Dragas, gave a structure and a strategy required to implement these funds. And that required regional planning and, of course, best practices. And it is that structure and that strategy that now outlives her gift, that has created a real roadmap to serve homeless families and children in Southampton Roads. Now, while this gift was not to For Kids, I did have a front row seat to the impact of her generosity, her leadership, and her vision, and its impact on thousands of individuals, literally thousands, most of whom were children. I know that you folks in Richmond get to hear from a lot of heavy hitters, but as an advocate for your state's most fragile children, who I would really love to see go to UVA, I think it is quite wonderful that one of our children's biggest champions is the current rector of UVA. As a nonprofit executive, I find her to be extraordinary, courageous, and remarkable. As a UVA alum, I am proud to have her as our rector. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Joan Bulk. I'm an original Dragas homeowner in the Hampshires and Greenbrier and Chesapeake. My family and I moved to Chesapeake about 5 years ago from New York State and close to other members of our family. We've heard many wonderful things about Dragas homes, and we decided we should buy one. Very happy that we did. It's a lovely home. In 2009, Dragas told us of a potential problem with Chinese drywall. Long before Chinese drywall was in the news. Mrs. Dragas personally met with the homeowners to address the issue, to address our concerns. We were treated very, very well. Mrs. Dragas stood by her company's homes when most builders just walked away, even though she had no guarantee that she would ever recoup any of the money that she spent helping us. Helen Dragas showed great integrity throughout the whole process. I urge you to confirm her leadership as Rector of the Board of Visitors at UVA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Any further comment? Discussion by members of the committee?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator McKee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that has struck me that has been complained about at the university is that things were done behind closed doors. Decisions were made out of the public view. I think we have an opportunity at this point to change that dynamic and to have some open discussion about what happened at the university. It may be unpleasant, it may not be what we want to do, and this is in no way a criticism of you, Mr. Chairman, but I would feel a whole lot better about this process, and I think the public would too, if you would extend an invitation to Ms. Dragas to appear here so we can have that discussion. I admit that many of us have had a discussion with her, but we have done that in the only fashion available to us. It has been behind closed doors. It's been in my law office. It's been in other places. I think the time has come to do that in the public. And in that vein, I would have a motion, Mr. Chairman, to have the matter go by for the day so that you have an opportunity to extend the invitation, whether it is accepted or not. At least we would have the benefit of knowing that we have extended that invitation to Ms. Dragas.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Senator Carrico.
Just
Well,
quick question.
There's a, first of all, there's a motion on the floor to let it go. There's a motion to amend that's already on the floor. I believe we need to vote on this motion to amend and move on. But let me just say, just in response to your comments, and I appreciated your giving me a heads up a little bit before this meeting around noon today. You know, this has been on the calendar since Friday. We've known for months that this was going to be before the committee. I have made calls to senior members of the committee, on my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, to alert them that this was going to be on the docket today. And until lunchtime today, not one single person, not one person has ever asked for there to be Washington-style hearings on this appointment. This is not the tradition under which we operate in the Senate. At least it's not been my experience in my short 9-year tenure in the Senate that we call appointees before this body. You know, I found this process to be extraordinarily open, as a matter of fact. I mean, Ms. Dragas has come and visited me. I suspect she's visited or offered to visit every single member of this committee, and my guess is doggone near every single member of the Virginia General Assembly. And I don't know that I've ever seen an appointee, prospective appointee, who's been more accessible to people on every side of this issue than this appointee. I don't know that I've ever seen an appointment in 10 years that has received more media attention and has been open for the world to see. Everything since June has taken place in the public eye, and it has been an extraordinarily open process. So, you know, I appreciate the comments and concerns, but you know, this hearing has been set. We've had plenty of opportunity to discuss that possibility. My perspective is we need to honor the wishes and at least the expressed, articulated concerns of the president of the university, who has expressed her desire not to rehash these issues, which would by necessity be the result of having Washington-style hearings in this instance. So the motion before us is to amend.
Mr. Chairman.
And it's been seconded. Go ahead. Senator Dees.
Well,
Is this on the motion to amend?
this is on, unless Senator McEachin has more on his motion, I was just going to speak to the issue.
Okay.
You know, I represent Charlottesville and the university community. And our focus shouldn't be on personalities. It should be on the university. It's the flagship university of the state. It's the center of any economic development project we've got. And so it's our hope for the future. Senator Howell spoke of receiving over 200 emails. I can tell you that I've received at least 10 times that. I represent this community. I cannot go to lunch in this community or dinner to this community or go to a social setting without this being the topic of discussion, without being approached. I will tell you that I read one of my colleagues talked about a scab on a wound. And we shouldn't jerk it off. Well, I will tell you that in Charlottesville, the wound has never healed. And the wound has never healed because this was done behind closed doors in the first place, because the public trust that people ought to have in this great institution has been broken. People that vote for me, people that vote against me, uniformly, they all come up to me. And I'll tell you that because I represent Charlottesville, I've heard from alums from all over the country and from all over the state, and I will tell you that I've heard from 3 people in favor of reappointing Mrs. Dragas. And I'm sure she's a fine person. I've got plenty of respect for the people who spoke on her behalf. I'm sure she's a fine home builder and an ethical person. I'm sure she's contributed a lot of money to worthy causes. But the president, much has been made of what the president said. Well, you know, she doesn't have a choice with respect to who she works for. What do you expect her to say? What do you expect the president to say? She's one of the most qualified people for and she has done so much to restore trust in the community to the university. That's why she's so popular. She did a wonderful job of reaching out to every element of the community, except perhaps the Board of Visitors. She didn't kiss enough rings, I guess, and that's what the problem was. But to restore trust, we've got to move on. And I don't think we can move on. I don't think we're going to be able to move past this as long as the personalities that were in place at the time this monumental sin took place are replaced. Now, like Senator Howell, I've been in the legislature this is my 22nd session, and I don't ever remember opposing an appointment of the governor, be they Democratic governors or Republican governors, because I believe that a governor is entitled to a presumption of correctness. He rises or falls on his appointees. But this is an appointee, I think I heard one of my colleagues say today, this is an appointee that has already had 4 years. So this is an element of job performance that we're evaluating today. And on the basis of what's occurred, this Sachs warning that watch list we were placed on in December wasn't a joke. This is our flagship university. On the basis of what we've seen, we can't give this a passing job performance. We've got to look at this with fresh eyes and say, we're not talking about evaluating individuals, we're talking about our flagship institution, our University of Virginia. We've got to move on with this.
Mr. Chairman, speaking to the motion, or to the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am saddened that we don't have the opportunity to hear from Ms. Dragas in public. I think that the Washington style that you refer to is exactly what has happened. It has been behind closed doors. That being said, I will talk a little bit about what I heard behind closed doors. And in meeting with Mrs. Dragas, I found her to be an intelligent person, a concerned manager, if you will. As a lawyer, I can respect the fact that there are things that she is unable to share with me because they delve into the area of employer-employee relationships, which is a sacred relationship that can't just be talked about with strangers to the institution. As an alum of the university, I share the same concerns that my colleagues do, but I cannot, in good conscience, fire her without more. I have gotten and my aide is going to probably take out a club and beat me when I get back upstairs. But I've gotten 100 emails from very passionate people talking about their love for the university and their concern. The only thing I can offer to them is this, that I have used my best judgment, given what I have been able to glean from this situation, given my conversation with her and other board members. And so I'll be supportive of the reappointment, and I will oppose the substitute offered by my good friend.
Any further comment on the motion on that? Hearing none. Senator Edwards.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I represent Virginia Tech, and I'm very proud of that as part of my district. I'm also have a diploma from the University of Virginia Law School. I'm also an adjunct professor of law at the University of Virginia. And my son and my daughter both graduated. My son from the law school, his wife from the law school, my daughter from the undergraduate school, and her husband's a double hoop. My brother went to medical school at UV. Listen, I can go on and on about the University of Virginia and my meritologies. And I'm a loyal member of the alumnus, a loyal alumnus at the University of Virginia as well. I was appalled, like everyone else, at what happened last June. And I think everybody at the University of Virginia had every reason to be appalled at what happened and how it came about. I do not, however, believe in personalizing issues when you can avoid it. I also believe that largely the issues have been resolved, as far as I can tell. And I also have this feeling that the General Assembly should be careful involving itself in the governance of our institutions. We have some wonderful, I think we have the best system of higher education in the country, and that's because we have independent board members and independent, the boards are loyal to the universities and the colleges that they are appointed and elected to serve, as opposed to having a regent system as some schools do. So I think if we're going to do something like replacing a member of the board, we need to be very, very careful in doing so. I think there's another issue, though, that I have decided should be resolved. Senate Bill 1087 that Senator Deeds and Toscano have co-sponsored with me. And that is to allow 4 members of the Board of Visitors to be elected directly by the alumni and the alumni of the University of Virginia. I think that would solve a lot of the problems. So the alumni are constantly being called upon to make contributions to the university, and they do by checks, and they provide support to the university for in different ways. And I think it's time for the alumni also to have a direct involvement in electing 4 members of the 17 members of the Board of Visitors. I think that is something that we can do in a positive way, but I'm not convinced that replacing the rector at this time is the proper thing to do.
Any further comment on the motion to amend? Hearing none, clerk, call the roll. This is a vote on the motion to amend to motion on the substitute omitting lines 267 through 268.
Senator Howell.
Aye.
Senator Martin.
Nope.
Senator Deeds.
Yes.
Senator Puckett.
No.
Senator Edwards.
No.
Senator McEachin.
No.
Senator Peterson.
No.
Senator Smith.
No.
Senator Northam.
Aye.
Senator Vogel.
No.
Senator McWaters.
No.
Senator Carrico.
No.
Senator Reeves.
No.
Senator Garrett.
No.
Senator Obenshain.
No.
3 yes, 12 no.
Before us is Senate Joint Resolution 324. Motion's been made to report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.